we're starting off juicy. Hope that I haven't offended anyone. It's a scary question. Don't say that he's autistic. Our marriage has been affected. Removing gluten and dairy. Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Today's video, I am finally answering some questions you guys asked. So on Instagram, if you don't follow me over there, definitely go follow me because I'm very much more active over there. I asked you guys to ask me some juicy questions. So the questions that are kind of controversial, and you guys delivered the goods. I am pretty nervous to answer these questions today just because I don't want to offend anyone or get a bit controversial, but I'm going to do it. Just so you guys know, all of the ways that I'm answering these questions are my own experience, our experience, Jacob's experience, our opinions, and if your opinions differ, that's okay. Let me know down in the comments if they do differ. What do you think of the biomedical approach to autism? Do you think autism can be reversed? Oh, that is a big question to start off with. I guess it's not such a big question because my opinion is that autism is not reversible. My opinion is autism isn't a disease that can be reversed. Autism is a way that your brain functions. Autism is a way that your brain sees the world, comprehends the world. Everyone is open to their own opinions, and please let me know if you agree or disagree with that statement down in the comments, but there's a lot that goes into it, and I'm not a scientist, I'm not a professional in the autism world, so I don't know for sure, but my opinion is that it can't be reversed. Whew, we're starting off juicy. I'm getting nervous because I just don't want to offend anyone. What are your views on removing gluten and dairy from the diet to help with attention? I've heard so many different things about this, and I haven't done enough research into it to know for sure. But we've never tried it with Jacob, and I don't think we ever will, just because Jacob's diet is limited, and more recently he's exploring new foods. So we don't want to limit him further and stop that progression going on. Every so often he's eating new foods, and I definitely don't want to mess with that at all. I've spoken to many people who have done it and seen progress from it. They've seen happier, more attentive, more focused children. I think that's great for them. I think that food and diet is a very important part of your brain and how it functions. We just haven't explored that with Jacob, so I guess my view on it is that we won't ever do it with Jacob, I don't think. Have you tried those diets, and have you seen any benefits from it? This is a good question. Do you think that our children's siblings miss out having a neurodiverse sibling? Whew. I think that there are many different factors in life, and each family has so many different factors of their lives that it's all going to be different. I know that's an annoying answer. I know that there are things that Jazz is missing out on, but also know that there are things that she wouldn't have had the chance to do or learn or experience had she not had a neurodiverse sibling. So I think that, you know, the next family over, they have different factors in their life. Maybe they just moved here from a different country and they have to learn a new language. Things like that. There are so many different factors that can affect a child's life, that they miss out on things, that they do things that other children miss out on. I do think that Jazz has missed out on things in the way of Jacob not being able to access so many different places. We try our best to take Jazz places when Jacob's at school and she is at home, and in that way she doesn't really miss out. However, early on we didn't really go out very much. We went to the same places all the time. When I had Jacob home a lot of the time, she was happy. She was happy. She didn't know any different, and she's experiencing those things now. So I don't think that it's affected her, although it may have, I'm not sure. What do you guys think? This is a great question. Do you disclose Jacob is autistic immediately when meeting new people, or do you wait? So I actually don't say that he's autistic very often. More often will I say that he is non-speaking and he communicates in different ways. And that is only when someone is trying to speak to him and he doesn't respond to them. So I will wait. Often I will wait, and a lot of people are so understanding and know about autism and understand it so much that they can pick up on the signs that he exhibits. Physically, he exhibits a lot of like stimming and things like that. Yeah, when they try and talk to him, usually it happens in a shopping center, something with kids in trolleys. I'm not sure what it is, but a lot of the older generation try and speak to him and, you know, strike up a conversation, and then when he doesn't respond and it gets a little bit awkward, it's not awkward, it's just there's that awkward silence of Jacob not responding to them. So I tend to just be like, oh yeah, he doesn't speak, but he can hear you, he understands, he communicates in different ways. So usually I will say that. Sometimes I'll say he's autistic. I find it's more helpful to tell people that he's non-speaking rather than autistic, because autistic doesn't necessarily mean that they don't speak. So that's what I tend to do. What do you guys do? Do you usually disclose it immediately or do you wait? How do you look after your own mental health? This is a tricky one for me to answer right now. I'm going through a good period at the moment. My mental health has suffered in the past. It really has. I have anxiety and sometimes like situational depression. I went through a really hard time last year and I sought help from a psychologist, and I saw her I think once a fortnight, and it was really helpful to talk to someone that knew how to help and talk to someone that's not going to have an impact on my life. Like if I talk to a family member or a friend, you know, they could talk to someone else about it, and I just didn't want that. I wanted to talk to someone that wouldn't disclose anything that I said to anyone else. So it was really helpful in that aspect. She had a lot of advice to give and I was so thankful for that. And she just really just made me feel, she validated my feelings, which was the best thing that I could ever have received, is that you are struggling. You have anxiety. You are experiencing depressive episodes. You did experience an anxiety attack a couple of times, and just having someone validate that for me, especially because my head goes to, oh no, you're not struggling, you know, you're just having a hard time, and there are people out there who are way worse than you. But ways that I look after it was obviously in the bad times going to see a psychologist, but also just calling family members. We don't live near any of our family, and I went through periods of time where I didn't speak to anyone other than my immediate family for a really long time. And I call my mum most days of the week. I call my sister. I call my mother-in-law. Like, it's just a thing that brings me happiness and connection with others. How do you cope with Jacob running off? My son does this. It's tough. Oh, it is tough. It is tough, and he still does it. He's a lot smarter now, as opposed to a couple of years ago, he would just run off willy-nilly, like, and we also think that could be to do with like his hyperactivity and his spontaneity of his ADHD, and like just like running off. A lot of places we had to like hold his hand and really make sure we had eyes on him because he would just run off. And nowadays he's a little bit more sneaky about it and very smart little boy. He'll like sort of like walk over really slowly and he'll be looking at us and he'll like sneak over really slowly, and then once he knows he's got his chance and he's out, he bolts so fast. I struggled to keep up with him. A couple of times he's done it out the front of our house and run down the street, and it's super scary when he runs on the road. I will never ever ever get over the feeling of I can't even speak properly. I will never get over the feeling of him running off from me, especially on the road. Your mind just goes instantly into panic because there could be a car coming. I may not be able to catch up to him, all of those things. How do I manage it? I guess we have a lot of locks on our doors and make sure that someone either myself or Jordan has eyes on Jacob. We always, before we go out, we say, are you gonna have Jacob or are you gonna have Jazz? Because sometimes Jazz may be with Jordan and I'll have eyes on Jacob, but Jazz will come over to me and ask me something or want me to hold her. And in that instant, made a rule that we have to say it to each other. Okay, switch. We need to switch. You have Jacob now. Because if that line is blurred and one of us mistakenly thinks that the other is watching Jacob, that can go really badly. So, and also sometimes we use prams, and in the past we've used wagons in public, especially because Jacob doesn't tend to like to walk very far. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. And in those instances, like, we're either holding him or he's in the pram. This is a scary question to answer because I am not autistic myself, but I'm going to answer it to the best of my ability. How do you handle strong personalities within the autism community? I'm grateful that I haven't experienced too many strong personalities in the autism community online. I've had a few videos on YouTube go viral and videos on TikTok and Instagram. When they go viral, you're open to a huge audience of different people, and it tends to be those videos for all creators. It tends to be those videos that you get the most hate on and the most strong personalities. I don't tend to respond to strong personalities or hate, but if it is a person who is genuinely asking a question, I will respond to them. I've just found that when I first started and getting that hate really affected me. It really did. I almost stopped doing all of the social media stuff. But I had to be reminded that there are people out there that are being helped by what I do, and it's benefiting so many people. So it's not very often nowadays, but I tend to delete offensive or graphic comments. However, I will say this. I saw a mother this morning on Instagram talk about the word special needs and how it needs to be eradicated. She was talking about how this shouldn't be the focus. The vocabulary in the autism community is changing so much, and especially in such a quick time, the vocabulary is changing. And I do agree with the vocabulary changing. I just think that we should be giving people grace, especially when 10 years ago, we were telling people to say they should say person with autism, and now we're saying autistic person. I don't think it should be a thing that people jump on people for. I think that we should give people grace to make mistakes. Like, we're all gonna make mistakes. The vocabulary has changed dramatically, especially in the medical field. And I think, even in my early videos, I was saying severe autism, special needs, person with autism. Like, I was saying all of those things. And although I do cringe at them because now it's like offensive to say those things, I have to give myself grace. Back then, that's what people said, and it wasn't known to people that we should be changing the vocabulary. Right now, there are a lot of people online, a lot of autistic people or people in the autism community who really jump on people, and they jump on people's videos, and they are so quick to hate people for saying the wrong thing or for labeling it wrong. And it's almost like yes, maybe you can give advice to correct them, but why do you have to be so mean about it? Why do you have to be so strong about that? Like, it isn't something that's going to affect the support an autistic person is given. So why are we worrying too much about it? I would love to know your opinions on that. I've spoken to autistic people. I know autistic people who really don't care. They don't. As long as you're addressing the person that you're with. For example, I have a family member who has autism, and they prefer me to say person with autism. It's so hard for me to come on here, and I actually have to watch my words so much because I'm scared that I'm going to be, get a lot of backlash for that. And there are strong people in the community like jumping on these videos, and it isn't necessary to be so hateful about it. I do understand the background of it. So this question, there was a few questions around like the effect on my marriage, my relationship. How did the autism diagnosis affect our relationship? How did the lack of sleep affect our relationship? Behaviors, therapies, constant appointments. I will say it definitely did. And it's hard for a parent to say that because we're not blaming anyone. We're not blaming Jacob, we're not blaming us, we're not blaming anything like that, but autism has an effect on your relationship. And if you don't think that way, feel free to prove me wrong down in the comments, but I just feel like there are stressful elements of being diagnosed with autism. A child going through that journey, things like lack of sleep, challenging behaviors, absconding, running off from you in the community, and lack of support, having to advocate for your child to get the bare necessities for themselves, to like the bare support for them, and sometimes being declined all of that, the constant therapies. It is hard, and it definitely has stress on my marriage. We've been through really good times, we've also been through really, really hard times, especially when my mental health was not good, Jordan's mental health was not good. I've mentioned it before, I think Jordan has sensory difficulties as well. Our marriage has been affected by it, and that is nothing, no way, Jacob's fault. It's not his fault. It's just the reality of the situation. Lack of sleep is a big one, and it has affected more than my marriage. Like, it's affected my own being, my own mental health. It's affected my relationship with other people, my socialization. Like, I barely have any friends anymore. The biggest thing that we did in our marriage is sort of accepting the reality of it. Accepting the diagnosis, accepting that our life is going to be different to what we expected, accepting that we are going to be going through challenges. We really needed to knuckle down and focus on how we were going to navigate this lifestyle. How are we going to create an inclusive environment for Jacob? It's so hard because it's not just us that's creating the environment, it is the world, and the world is not inclusive yet. We've been through really hard times, and I want to normalize that. It's not normal, but people go through hard times. Marriages go through hard times. It's not all sunshine and rainbows all the time, really. There are so many different elements, again, that could stress a marriage. Just know that there are different elements that can stress a marriage, and that has been one of them. We've had other elements in our own lives that have stressed our marriage. Yeah, just here to normalize that, I guess. Thank you guys so much for asking those questions. I hope that I haven't offended anyone. It is a very scary thing to talk about these issues, and such controversial issues in this community. I feel like all of the controversies of the autism world really creates a barrier between us and society. I feel like I would appreciate if people spoke to me about Jacob and how he's autistic, and maybe said the word he has autism, or, you know, an offensive word like special needs. I would prefer that they approach me and talk about it, and I don't really care what language they use. I'd prefer that they talk to me about it than not talk to me about it. I think that people are getting scared to talk to people about it because of all of this hate and offensiveness. Put a star emoji down below if you've gotten this far in the video. I really appreciate when you do watch my videos all the way to the end. A new segment we're going to be doing in our future vlogs is we're going to be doing question of the day. So instead of me doing one of these question videos a month or every couple of months, I'm going to be just doing 1 or 2 questions at the end of every vlog so that we can answer all your questions. You have some really great ones. I didn't even get through half of these questions. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you really enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.